Hi, this is Linda with KC Creations. I'm doing a tutorial for Digi and SVG Designs for You. This is her latest Christmas set. It's called Rustic Country Christmas Santa Tags. And there is a lot of them in here. I believe she gives you 8 of these big, large tags. Beautiful rustic Santas. We've got a lot of little words we can use. Some cute little tags there. There's some more. I love these images and the colors. They're so pretty. There's another set. Pretty reindeer, some old boots, some little snowman. And there's Santa. He's looking over his nice and naughty list. And there he is with one of his reindeer. Then these little guys come in also in the set, the little tiny tags. And the tops match the big ones. We've got some more little tags here, some little sayings. And here is all of our backing paper. This one has candy canes and presents on it. Lots of choices. Some playful little dots. And then I'm also going to use her Christmas words definition kit. You get 2 whole pages in those just to accent our little pocket. And we're going to create something new and different here, hopefully. What you need to do, if you want to follow along and work with me, or you can watch the whole video and then come back to it, is you need to print out all the pieces that you want. And what I'm going to do, I have picked 2 of them that I want to do something special on. Let me find them here. Here we go. And all I did was make a duplicate. I printed out this page twice, and I did that on 2 of the cards for what I'm going to be doing. You can do that or not, it's up to you. Also, if you wanted to, you can back these by just putting the paper back in the printer and then select one of the back pages and copy on the back. So if you want to craft along with me, work as I go ahead and get all of your stuff printed out. While you're doing that, I'm going to do some prepping of the tags. And all that means is I'm going to do some cutting and gluing, which you don't need to see me doing over and over and over again. So be right back. Okay, you've got all of your pieces printed out. On this tag sheet, when you printed it out, I don't want you to cut anything yet. When you do your end ones, I want you to leave the little tabs. And I know they're not equal, but that's not a problem. These little tabs, we're not going to cut those off on all of the end ones. On these, you can cut off anything you want, because we're going to make little folds out of these. You need 1 for each side, so a white tab on the right and the left. I've got all of mine already backed, and I like to back mine because I like mine very heavy. And I've inked around the edges. I've put metal eyelets in here so you didn't have to put up with me hammering, because I use a setter. You put it in the eyelet and hit it with a hammer. I just like the back of it. It makes cute little flower looking things on the back. But I have put all kinds of different, we've got jute, twine, there's another twine, a gold jute, I've got some chiffon ribbon. I've put on those tags, the same on these. Just to bring out the rustic, you used all those kind of colors on it. You can do whatever you would like. You don't even have to use the eyelets if you don't want to. I did ink around some of the little definitions. These are not backed. I do have some that I did back. Here, if I can gather them all up. There we go. These are back. And I did put eyelets in those because I'm going to use those as some dangles. And we're going to use some of our little words as dangles, and I'll show you how to make those long enough. Now, when it comes to your big tags, leave two together. You'll see there's a little white line. Don't worry about that at all. Just leave it there. Cut around, and you see I did not cut perfectly up to the edges, nor did I cut in here. These are the identical ones that I did cut apart. We're going to make pockets out of these. If you have a scoreboard, that's great. If you don't, that's not a problem. Let me grab my favorite ruler here. You would just take your fold it over, and press, and you have got your fold. If not, you can use your scoreboard as such and use it. It's totally up to you. But why I didn't cut these out is I'm going to back the inside because I want them strong. So I've got some pieces that were left over from backing my little tags and everything. Let's get this moved out of the way. And I'm going to show you the easiest way to cover it, because on one of these I want a big pocket. So I can't glue it all down or I couldn't get into the top. So on the first one, this would be the front. We're going to cover that, and there's your back. So on these, what I do on the back piece, first, because I do not like to see white at all. So I take, and on the top part, I just ink it up. And it doesn't have to be pretty. We're just covering up the white. And I'm only going to do it on this one because that's where my top pocket is going to be. Looks like a mess. It is a mess, but you'll never know. So on my pocket, what I want to do, and another little thing that makes it easy, gently fold it the opposite way. Just kind of leave a little arc there. And I'm going to just put a line there. And that is my little guideline for how far I can go in. And then I'll show you another trick also. What we're going to do for the back one, we're going to run glue right along the edge there. Just a fine line of glue. And remember, these have rounded corners there. So I got to make sure that I get that. So we'll glue a little bit up in there, across the bottom. And when you can hold it up to the light and see where the curve is. And we're going to go all the way to the top. Then we'll take whatever music, I chose the music piece. The other one I chose was the one with the little presents, the poinsettias, the candy canes. We're going to take this and we're going to lay it right up against our fold. Make sure that our bottom is even. Lay it here, and then if you press this over, run your fingers down, just the movement of this, when you fold it over, will push this away enough so that it's not right in the fold and it can still fold very easily. Just push around the edges. And this makes it easy when you don't have a rectangle or a square where you've got these little scallops. That way I can cut both pieces together and they'll be identical. So that's what we're going to do now. Let's get my scissors in here. And when you're doing cutting, instead of holding your scissors straight, if you'll just kind of lay them over on their side, just angle them a little bit, that helps not make any rough edges on your cuts. Don't be afraid if you didn't get it glued quite right. You can always go back and squeeze a little glue under there. And there's our bag. It's perfect. Everything matches up. We're going to do the same to this side, except there's no pocket in this one, top pocket, so we're just going to glue the whole thing down. The more glue you use, and I don't mean saturate it, the less bumps you're going to have in your paper. If you leave big wide spaces where there's no glue, air gets trapped into there and it doesn't lay down real good. So just kind of squeeze a little bit all over the place. Don't want to get too close to your edge there. About 1/8 of an inch up against here. Then you can take this. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to line up our bottom. Get it as close as we can. This time we'll fold the back over the front to push this piece away from the fold. And then we'll do the same thing. We'll cut it out. It is getting Christmas time. It's sneaking up on us. I haven't even thought about Christmas shopping yet. I guess I can kick that down the road a little bit longer. Okay, we got that. Now we need our little piece here. Fold that over. Then what you're going to check next, since we cut by hand, we're not perfect, make sure that everything lines up. This one is just a little bit longer, and that's because of the fold. It took up some space, so we're just going to trim that off. Make sure that our rounded edges all meet perfectly. And there we are. Now I'm an inker. As you know, if you've watched any of my videos, my inky hands most of the time. Ink around the edges. And when you ink, you can do several things. I bring mine over the top a little bit because I want it heavier. But then I also run it straight down the edge, just to make sure that I haven't left any white. All that stuck on my fingers. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of people ink. They go like this. That's fine. That's the way you like it. I just go like this. And I like these little daubers because I can get right in the cracks with those instead of the larger applicators. On the second one, I'll show you how to put those little flaps. These little guys. I'll show you how to do that one in the next one. Just give you some different options, some different ways that you can turn these tags instead of just one tag. Make them kind of interactive. Kind of bend it a little bit, go down your spine there. And there we go. Now, remember I told you in the beginning that I cut 2 of the same images. I printed out 2 of the same. This is because I'm going to make a pocket for here. So I'm going to decide about how big I want my pocket. Probably about there, and we'll see what that measures. Get my trimmer out here. About right on the top of the bill. Make sure that I'm lined up good. And we're going to add that to the front. And as you see, when we lay it down, it completes the image that's underneath. You can put a little slot here if you want. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. It's just what you want to do at the time. And when you glue the pocket down, excuse me, there may be some more trimming we need to do, because we're not perfect, we're just humans. Just glue around the sides there. You can use your favorite glue, whatever you prefer. I wouldn't recommend a glue stick because a pocket does take some abuse by putting in and removing the cards. So just any kind of liquid glue. I like Aleene's tacky glue. That's my go-to. I use it all the time. We're going to glue this down. We're going to make sure that we've got everything lined up. Sure we're not hanging off too much on the edges. Give it a good squish. Then we can trim off any of the little bits. And you can use your scissors or an X-Acto knife, whatever you would like. I wouldn't put it on the trimmer if that's what you chose, because a trimmer, because the glue is still a little wet, and it will make a mess out of your paper. That's all the trimming we had to do, and there's our pocket. Now, where I trimmed, white edge, cover that back up. And we're going to do the same thing for this side, so that we get our pockets even. One's not real big. We'll just put a little pencil mark there, get them the same. I use Vintage Photo. It's my go-to distressed ink. The color just, it's not too dark, but it covers up well. Stuck on me. And I've always, so that I don't glue wrong, which I still do occasionally, I try to grab what I'm not gluing. So I know that it's going to go this way. This one's kind of obvious because it's got the little curved edges on the bottoms. Glue those down, make sure we get everything lined up perfectly, or the best we can do. You can see that postcard, it didn't mess up at all. We got it all lined up. Double check, see if we've got any piece right there we need to trim. And when you're using your craft knife, X-Acto knife, whatever, take your other finger and push down so that this card is not lifting from the bottom one. You want to push pretty hard. Get that little scrap off. Here, now we have this. Now we need some pockets on here. Let's take a piece of our scrap and we'll make a pocket. Let's make him about to there. I'm not a measurer. I'm gonna go, yep, that looks good. That's what I want. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to push it up against the fold. Get lined at the bottom. And just hold on to it and let it slide under your fingers. That way, see where it pushed it over? It kind of got it there. If I'd have got it any further over here, then it wouldn't have folded. So you want to always allow, or another rule of thumb, just leave 1/8 of an inch or smaller, just a little tiny space where you're not right on the fold. Trim it up. Now let's put some notches. Now there's all kinds of ways you want. This is pretty wide. I've got a 1.5 inch. Let's see what that would look like. Yeah, I like that. Just make sure you've got the same spacing on each side, or as close as you can get. Not going to glue them down yet. I'm going to make another pocket. Get a double pocket going on here. Let's see if I can. Sometimes you want to put your top one a little bit smaller. It depends on the length of the piece you have, what you think would look best. And put him about there. And now that I've got this piece correct, I can lay it on top. Draw a line. And they'll be identical, I hope. I can see my pencil mark, which I cannot. You can always do it on the back. It'd probably be easier, or push harder with your pencil. Now I want these to be the same. And you could do this all in one thing, put them together, then punch. But I wanted to show you what I was doing, so I punched one. So we're going to come in here and see if we can get close to what I did before. Now they match. Ink those up. Again, we're just going to glue on the sides and the bottom. Get it lined up on the bottom. Put it there, double check that it folds nicely. Sometimes if you run your thumb across it, it'll move it up and down while the glue is still wet. And we'll just trim off our corners. And it's big enough I can use the scissors. one. I'm going to do this one. We just recently moved back to Texas. That's where both my husband and I were born. We've been in Colorado for 36 years. It is so nice. It is middle of November. My roses are still trying to bud. I would be all bundled up, freezing, shaking. I can even go outside without a coat on. Awesome. Except we do have every bug known to man in Texas. Let's trim off a little bit. And there's our pockets. Okay, on this side, we can leave it blank, make it for a journaling spot. The cardstock is light enough that you could write on it and still see it. Or we could make a little belly band. Just cut out another piece and glue it there if we wanted. It's totally up to you. Then you could glue some, or stick some more of the little tags and things in there. Got our front done. Got our back done. So let's start stuffing this little guy. Alright. As I said, I've got all mine, and I glued different background pages onto the tags. So let's stick some of the different ones in there. We'll put one of these little guys right there. We could also decorate this. We could put one of our little sayings. Here's one, mistletoe kisses. Let's do that. That's cute. Let's glue that on there. And I've already got this one inked up. Get him centered. Here, we'll take some of these. Let's see. Big one's down here. Use one of those. Let's use one with the twine. Here. We can also take some of our little definitions, glue those onto some cardstock. I just like the 2 layers of cardstock because then they don't get bent so easy. If you've ever worked with cardstock, even premium cardstock that I use, 1 layer will not last over time without bending. So I always put 2 together. You can cut this out on your trimmer. If you don't have a trimmer, we're just going to do it by hand here. Gotta ink. And it's a preference. Some people love it, other people don't. It's totally up to you, whatever you want to do. Let's stick this little definition here. Get another one of our cute little cards. Stick in there. And we could stick more things in there if you wanted. Put another one here. Let's put one more. Let's grab a different background. Get a little scrap of this. Make sure you always get your corners good. like I said, if you use your scissors, if it's still, the glue's still wet, doesn't hurt anything, just don't put it on the trimmer. The trimmer does not like wet surfaces. That kind of balances them out. That looks cute. I like that. I want to add one more thing. I'm going to take this one, already inked. Let's decorate up these pockets a little bit. Now, what you could do, if you wanted, glue it down on the 3 sides, bottom and sides. Glue it here, leave this open. You could have a little tuck spot. You could back some of your little words that came with the set with these. You could glue it down, and then you could just tuck them in there if you wanted. 4 or 5 would look really good. But for now, we'll just glue this down. Get it centered underneath that little slot. Then we'll take one of our little sayings. Tags back in. And got some for the back. Let's use one of these little guys. And let's decorate him up a little bit with some of these words. Let's see. Believe, magical. Yep, that'll work. There's tons of these little sayings. You can pick out whatever you would like. We can put them out like this. We can stagger them a little bit. I like that. It's all about what you prefer. It's your card, you make it however you would like. I'm just trying to give you some ideas here. And in this kit you have enough to play with. You can do all kinds of things. There, cute. Put them in there. Let's grab another one of the little guys. Put it here. There's the back of it. You can stick more in here if you want. Front, journaling spot, and the front. Super cute. Now we've got this little back pocket here we made. We're going to take one of our tags, and they're the same size, so we need to make it smaller. So we're going to cut it up. I think if we cut off that last little gap there, excuse me, little scallop, I think that's going to be good. Let's give it a shot. Up. It's not going to hurt our image too bad. Now let's see if I was right. Perfect. Also, if you ever glue something down and it's a little tight, take a ruler, a thin ruler, not a thick one, a real thin one. Put it in there and just run it around, because sometimes a little bit of glue gets out of place. You can run the edge of the ruler gently but firmly up against those glue things, loosen it up a little bit. Stick it in the center, kind of give it a little twist like that. Stretch it out a bit. And when we round the corners on the bottom, that'll help also. Perfect. All right, let's get... Here's our sheet music. And again, I do not cut this out. I wait until I glue it down on the backing so that they are perfect. Cut them out at the same time and they will be exact. Press. Hope it's not too cold where you are. Cold is not my friend. I love warm. I'm going to take my corner rounder here. The big side. Sometimes they don't like to punch when the glue is kind of damp in there still. Ink them up. See, it's, even though it's got a print on it, it's still light enough that if you wanted to journal on it, you could still see your writing, no problem. Or you could always take a piece of paper and just kind of tear around the edges, glue it on there. Go. Now, we can either put a grommet in there so some ribbon is sticking out, or we can leave it as is. Let's see what it looks like. Oh, that's cute. I like that. I think it turned out really well. Scoot him down in there a little bit more. So that's number one. That's what to do with just a plain tag. Now let's work on that other one with the flip-flops. Again, I printed out two of the same, left these two intact here. I'm not going to cut those. We're going to do the same thing. These are going to be our pockets. Another little trick you can do is ink down the center. That way, if you don't get it perfectly lined up, you're not going to see the white. I have this thing about white. I don't like to see it in my finished products. So let's grab another piece here. But first, this one is a little bit trickier. And I did tell you incorrectly. For this one, what we're going to do is we are going to slice these in half because I want to put little pockets or little flaps on each side. So let's cut it in two. Sorry about that. That's what you need is confusion, right? And then I'm going to score my little edges. Remember, these are the ones I said don't cut off this little white part here. That's going to be our little tab. Line it up here. Get my score right closer so I can see exactly where I want to move that. Tab. Folds over like so. And our other, yes, it's smaller, but it is still fine. It's enough to hang on to that. It's about 1/4 of an inch, I guess. And the ideal is about 1/2 inch, but it will work perfectly. Okay, now which do we want for our front? I like this guy. Let's take some of our backing paper. Grab some more here. And on the fold, and I always do this, anytime on a fold line, I always ink it up so I don't see any white. And we're just going to glue that little guy on there. You could also, if you wanted, just glue the sides and the bottom, and then you'd have a tuck spot for it. Let's see if one of these would fit. Yep, they sure would. So why don't we do that? So we're going to put glue on the card. Across the bottom. Up the side. And I can kind of see through how far I need to go to there. Fold our flap over so we know that it is as close as it could possibly get. When you have tabs, you never want a straight edge. You want to cut them at an angle like so. Because when you fold something over, if I didn't make that little notch up here, it would be even here, and you're going to see a little bit of the tab sticking out there. That way it hides it perfectly, if that makes sense. I'm just going to cut at an angle right up to there. And hopefully our little card will fit. If not, we'll just trim him down a tad. When you're cutting, if you'll always lay your scissors on your fingers, that will help you get a little bit straighter, because normally when humans cut, any humans, we tend to go off this way when we're finished. And if you just lay this, it just gives you a nice flat bed. Even if you couldn't reach your scissors, say your piece was longer, if you just can butt your scissors up against your fingers, it just steadies it enough to keep it straight. I hope he's inked the tab up. inking up this part of the tab, when it folds over, all this is nice and covered. So much glue stuck on my fingers. Okay, we're going to round these edges now because I'm going to get close to the bottom. I want to make sure I still have room to get in there. And it's not backed yet. So we're going to take it. See how far down we want to go. If we go all the way down, nope, I'm not going to like that because you're going to see some of the tabs. So I'm just going to raise it up. Oh, that's about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. I'm just going to glue our tab. Stay about an 1/8 or 1/16 away from that fold line because we don't want the glue getting onto the card. Stick the little guy on. And push him up there, give him a press, and fold him over. And you always want to double check to make sure he didn't scoot, because they will scoot. Now we're going to do the other side. Same thing, we're going to ink up that fold line. On the other side. Our paper. And we can leave this one open too. Remember when I tell you not to get right up to the fold line? Liquid glue spreads, which is obvious, but we don't want it oozing out too much on here. If it does, we'll just wipe it off with a tissue. No harm done. I'm going to make sure our fold is there. What am I doing here? There we go. Also, another thing when you're cutting out, if you move your paper under your scissors instead of moving your scissors, you can do a lot better and get right up to that edge. Make an angle there. And I chose 2 different papers. You can make them identical if you want. It's up to you. Ink up the side of the card. If you ever wanted to make a tab, say we weren't fortunate and we didn't cut off those end ones where the white was still there. I'll show you that in a second on how we can do that. Let's make sure that the bottoms are lined up. we have our little flaps. And we've made little pockets for each one of these little guys. And as you can see, I preach and preach. Did I ink the inside? No. So we'll sneak back in there. Some ink on there. This is one of those do as I say, not as I do things. We're having that moment now. There we go. All fixed. Now, we're going to make a tab so we have another booklet. Like so. And I'm going to use just the sheet music here. I'm going to cut a 1-inch strip. I'm going to score it in half. Remember, we had to cut these apart because we needed to add these, and we have to add them before we back it, or you would be seeing our little tabs there. Let's measure about what we need here. I'm measuring from where the scallop ends there to the bottom. Inside. I'm going to cut our little corners at an angle. Doesn't need to be a lot, like so. Ink up the edge of our paper. This one is going to flip over like this. Now, as you noticed in the other one, both of them were like this. So now this is the choice. Do you want a picture on the inside just to be different? Open it up, writing space here, writing space there. Let's change it up. Let's do it that way. Take our fold, make sure it's got a good crease in it, and we're going to put glue on this side. Here's the fold. Fold line opens up. We're going to put glue all there. Take our top. Make sure that we're right up to the edge. You can turn it over and see a little bit better there. Perfect. Sticks a little because of the rounded corner there. So we'll just trim that off. Now we have this guy. He's going to be on this side. Cut at the right angle. Put some glue on him. This is now on the opposite side that we just glued. Get them lined up. You can line up your bottoms. Press them down. That's what he looks like. Scoot him down just a bit. Trying to keep my head out of the camera and keep this going at the same time. There we go, much better. When you cut them in and put your tab on, they don't line up as nicely because we don't have that fold that we worked with on the first one. We've now cut it and added something else to it, so it throws off your pattern just a little bit and you'll have some additional cutting to do. But that's okay, we wanted our little guys on here. And there's our back. Now we're going to cover these. And we won't make a top for these, we'll just glue these down. A top pocket is what I meant to say. I know that Gigi and SVG Designs for You, they're coming out with an entire Rustic Christmas set. I can't wait to get it so I can make a whole journal out of it. It'll match all these little guys here, all the little Santas. Get it lined up. Make sure that it closes. It does. There we go. Cut these guys out. Careful to not cut into that fold of your little flap here. We can put a bit down there. Let's see if I'm white. There goes my glue. Just get my finger over there. It doesn't want to stand up. You're going to see this little edge here. That's the fold for our little flip here, because it's longer than the paper. That's fine, not a problem at all, so don't worry about that. When you see it, you go, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. Nope, you didn't. It just has to have room to turn over, so it makes it just a little bit wider. There we go, that's one side. Now we got the back. Our music one. Let it close there. Just fold them in half and look to see where you're at there. Pull them around when you can while the glue's still wet. Yeah. If you have any questions after you watch the videos, like, how did I do that? I didn't understand. You can just reach out to me. You can just contact the seller on my homepage. It's KC Creations by Linda. And just type that into the Etsy search, and you can reference the Rustic Country Christmas tags. There, I said it right finally. And I'll be glad to answer any of your questions. Not a problem at all. Because sometimes it takes, especially if you're new to all this, you know, how did you do that? I didn't get it. I'll be glad to explain it. Don't worry about it. There's no silly questions. We all ask them at one time or the other. Now, here's where I was telling you that we might, because we used our little tab, it throws everything off a bit. And I don't know if you can see this, but we have got about 1/8 of an inch in some spots. All we're going to do is hold our paper together, and I'm going to follow the top pattern and cut around it. And that's just the nature of the beast sometimes when you're trying to get scallops together. There, we're all good now. Let's check the bottom. Oops, just a tad there. I don't like sticking out. There. Good to go. Everybody all inked up again. I know this video is getting long. You're probably getting bored. You can always stop me and come back later. Not a problem. Now we can add some pockets if you want. We could use our little mistletoe one. Let's see if these little guys would fit in there. Maybe so. Yes, no. So take a couple, stick them in there. I don't know. I'll let you decide. You could also use one of these little guys and stick on there. You could stick it in the corner, wherever you want, in the center. Make some little tuck spot for those, little pocket. You could cut out or print out, another image of this, which I have, but I won't take up your time repeating what I did before when I just cut it like so and glued it on. Remember this little pocket here? That's what we would do. And then you can stick these little guys in here. This is what is it gonna fit? It sure is. So we're lucky with this one. Yep, here we go. How cute is that? You can even do a little journaling in there if you want. Open it up. You can add a pocket there. Same way I showed you when we cut out these two pockets. Just measure it. You can put the little notch in there if you want or not. You could add another one on the back. But that's number 2. Now, what you can also do, especially on the one where I made, let me pull this little thing out. Made the little pocket on the first one, remember here? Let's put a hole in there. And I'm using just a regular old hole punch because I'm going to put a big grommet in there. So I'm going to have a little bit of hammering going on. Because my eyelet setter, these guys, if you have one of these, it's not big enough for these. Okay, here we are with our grommet. Let's get him put in there. Turn him over. Put our little backing piece on. And the hammer part. There we go. And we need to put some with them in here. Let's get some of this kind of a burgundy brown. Really goes good with these colors. It almost matches his Santa suit there. Get this rolled up or it'll be streaming all over my desk. I can pick up this pen. There we go. Put him in here. Looking good. Let's embellish this a little bit more. Remember when I said we could add a little pocket there and we could stick something in? It's just one of the little definitions. It is not backed, so it's a single piece of cardstock. Just going to put a thin line of glue on each side here. Glue him down about where we want him. Then we'll take our little guy here. Let's see what. Let's take something, the tag, the little pull is different, like this one. Stick him in there. Might even be able to get another one. We can definitely get one of our little definitions in there. Christmas tree, or Christmas Eve, excuse me. And it is backed. Looking good, ladies. All right, let's get back to our little guy here. Let's go ahead and make our pockets. Do it again so you can see how I did it. If you're like me, I need a couple of takes sometimes. Going to do it. Round off our corners. About there. So I made the pocket 2.5 inches deep. Glue it on there, make sure that our picture lines up. thin line of glue. Get our picture lined up. Make sure everything clears. Perfect. Check our back. Get a little piece hanging there. Get our craft knife and even him up. When you cut out things by hand, we're not perfect. But that's okay, we can fix it. And we can add some of our embellishments here. We can even take this guy and make a larger one. We're going to have to cut him down. So again, let's cut down on that first little scallop there. Let's cut that off. And see if we're short enough to go in the pocket. We probably have to take some off of the bottom also. Let's get these guys out of here for now. Yep. We're going to take up to the top of the pine cones. We made our little card by cutting up the other one. Let's get him backed with something here. And as you notice, I did not cut that off, so I'm going to cut that once it's glued down to the back so that they're both perfectly even. Just cuts down on a lot of trimming if you just do it in one big swoop. Super foggy this morning. Glad I'm retired. I don't have to deal with driving in the fog. That was never one of my favorite things to do. This little guy inked up here. Fits perfect. Tabs back in there. These little guys need something, so I have decided to take some of the little words that came in the kit. Excuse me, my voice doesn't want to get going this morning. Christmas time. And over here we got naughty and nice. growl you heard, that is my son's dog, Copper. He's looking out the big window there. Doesn't want anybody walking on his sidewalk, I guess. So we got that. And we have, let's see, we can do our other pocket here if we want or not. Can't decide. We could even make a different pocket, or we could make a belly band. I have even used these guys like that to make a good sized pocket, but I want to cut it down. Let's use this. Cut it down a little bit so it's not so tall. Just to change it up a bit from our normal pockets. Yep. Check that width again just in case. Might have to trim a tiny bit off. You could also put a vellum window there if you didn't. I'll show you what that would look like. If you didn't want to cover up your image, just cut it there and glue it down. But just for something new, we'll do this. We'll have to round off our bottom once we get it down. Get our craft knife. Edges again. Now we have another pocket. Put these little guys in there. And we get this one. Let's put some words on him. How about ho-ho? And we have presents. Yeah, that's cute. We'll do that. Sorry about my voice, guys. I sound like a foghorn. Maybe I'm getting with the fog that's out this morning. You could also, if you wanted, you could make little pockets on these. Possibilities are endless. Yeah. Put him in there. Okay, so almost. Another one put in there. Here. We could do a belly band here. Just change up things. Let me grab some more cardstock here so I've got a scrap. Yep, that'll work. Cut us off a strip. side, let's cut it down to about 1.5 inches. Yeah, that's better. Get it lined up there. And we want this a little bit tighter, so instead of our thin line, I'm going to go about, 1/2 inch on each side with glue. Not sure you can see that. A little tighter, and if it's not tight enough, we can put some glue in there. Make sure it shuts. Yep, we did good. And let's put one of our labels here. Let's see. How about hot chocolate? See if he fits. Now we'll just trim him down a little bit. Perfect. And we can take our other little tags, put them there, just like so. Here we go. And we've got our back. If you wanted to add another pocket, you could do that on the back. Got our little flaps. Looking good, ladies. I hope you enjoyed this. It was fun to be with you and create something new. Like again, if you have any questions, just reach out to me, KC Creations by Linda on Etsy, and I will be glad to answer any of your questions for you. Thank you so much.